All right, let's get into it. Today, we're diving deep into a book that could totally change the way you think about politics, religion, and just, well, people. We're talking about Jonathan Haidt's incredible book, The Righteous Mind.
You might remember these words from Rodney King way back in 1992, right after the LA riots. Can we all get along? Man, that question feels like it's more relevant now than ever before, doesn't it? I think deep down, most of us really do want to.
So why is it so incredibly hard? I mean, have you ever just looked at someone on the other side of an issue and thought, how can you possibly believe that? It's completely baffling, right? Well, this explainer is going to get right to the heart of that feeling, using some really amazing research.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The book's first huge idea is this powerful metaphor for how our minds actually work. And to get why we're so divided, you first have to meet the elephant and the rider.
So, imagine your mind is split into two parts. You've got the elephant, that's your intuition, your emotion, all your gut feelings. It's huge, powerful, and reacts instantly. And then, perched on top, you've got the rider. That's your conscious, logical reasoning. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Who's really steering this thing? You might think it's the rider, but you'd be wrong. It's the elephant, 100%. The rider, well, he's just along for the ride. He's the servant, not the master.
And this leads us straight to the first major rule of moral psychology. Intuitions come first. Strategic reasoning comes second. See, your rider isn't some impartial scientist carefully weighing evidence to find the truth. No way. The rider is more like a press secretary. Its job isn't to figure things out. Its job is to justify whatever the elephant has already decided to do. It's a post-game spin doctor, basically, great at coming up with reasons after the fact.
Now, you might be thinking that sounds a little cynical. So let's look at a classic example from Haidt's research. It's a bit of a taboo story, so brace yourself. You've got two adult siblings, Julie and Mark. They decide to have sex just once. They use two kinds of birth control, nobody gets hurt, they both enjoy it, and they agree to keep it a total secret. Now, the big question is, was what they did wrong? For most people, the answer comes instantly, like a reflex.
Their elephant just rears up and screams, "Wrong." But then, when you ask them why it's wrong, their rider completely fumbles. They start scrambling for reasons. Well, they could have a baby. Nope, two forms of birth control. Someone could get emotionally hurt. Nope, they were both fine with it. They search and search, but every logical reason gets shot down by the story itself. This is exactly what Haidt calls moral dumbfounding. The elephant has made its ruling, and the rider, the press secretary, is just left stammering with nothing to say. Okay, so we've established our elephants. Our intuitions are running the show. But that brings up a huge question. Why do my friend's elephant and my elephant lean in completely opposite directions? The answer is, well, it's pretty incredible. Think of your mind as being like a tongue, but instead of tasting sweet or sour, it has 6 taste buds for morality.
For the longest time, psychologists thought morality was pretty simple. It was basically about two things: care, not hurting people, and fairness. But what Haidt found by looking at cultures all over the world is that the moral palette is way more complex. He found at least 6 universal moral foundations: care, fairness, liberty, loyalty, authority, and sanctity. You can think of these as the fundamental flavors that make up every single moral system in the world.
And this is where it all clicks into place. It turns out that different political groups use these taste buds differently. Liberals, for example, tend to build their entire moral worldview on the first 3: care, fairness, and liberty. Their moral alarms go off like crazy when they see harm or oppression. But conservatives, they tend to use all 6 foundations much more evenly. So in addition to care and fairness, they also have strong reactions to things involving loyalty, authority, and sanctity. And here's the key. It's not that one side is more moral than the other. They're just living in and reacting to different moral universes. They're tasting a different moral meal.
So that brings us to the third and final big idea from the book, and this one explains something really fundamental about us humans: our ability to be both incredibly divided and incredibly unified. And it all comes down to this: we are 90% chimp and 10% bee.
Yeah, I know. What does that even mean? Well, think of it this way. 90% of the time we act like chimps. We're selfish, we're competitive, we're always looking out for number one. It's all about me, me, me. But that other 10% of the time, we can be like bees. We can become groupish. We can totally lose that selfish part of ourselves and work together as a team for the good of the whole hive.
And the way we make this incredible transformation is through something Haidt calls the hive switch. It's this mental button that can get pushed in certain situations, and when it does, it shuts down our petty, selfish chimp brain and lets us feel like we're part of something much, much bigger than ourselves. You ever been to a massive concert or a huge sports game where everyone is united or felt that incredible camaraderie on a team? That is your hive switch getting flipped.
All right, so let's recap. We've got an emotional elephant running the show, we've got 6 different moral taste buds, and we have a hive switch. So what do we do with all that? How does knowing all this actually help us get along any better?
This is probably the most important takeaway from the entire book. If you actually want to change someone's mind, you have to stop talking to their writer. Just stop. Piling on facts and logical arguments is like trying to reason with a press secretary. It's pointless. They're just going to spin it. If you want to make any progress at all, you have to talk to the elephant. You have to find a way to connect with them on that gut intuitive level first.
Now look, this is really hard to do, but empathy is the only real antidote we have to that self-righteous feeling. If you can just for a moment try to see the world through their moral matrix, through their taste buds, you might finally understand why their elephant is leaning that way. You have to remember the rule. Intuition comes first. Connection has to come before you can even think about correction. So that leaves us with one last big question to think about. We spend so much of our time and energy trying to win arguments, trying to prove the other side is wrong, but what if we just stopped? What if we changed the goal from persuasion to understanding? What might happen if you could actually see the world through their eyes and find the moral beauty in it, even if it's different from your own? What would change for you? And what could change for all of us?